Okay, so I'm just continuing my discussion here of strategy for black, and we're talking about isolated pawns. So um, this one here will be isolated, and let's not worry about those at the time. But this is always going to be a target for white, especially on the edge here. White's going to bring the king and two of his men up against this guy. So you always want to support your pawn sort of by adjacent, either diagonal or just as best you can. Have sort of others close by, because that guy may need some help. And the next thing about the strategy for black is how to properly get out of check. So let's just sort of, we just have the king and sort of some black pieces here. Let's do something like that. So black's in check here, and he has two options. He has this piece and this piece, and they would both come, that one comes down there, this one comes down there, and so you're thinking to yourself, well, what's the difference really? Well, sort of doing the same thing. Well, there's kind of a big difference. This isn't the best example, but this is the best one I can improvise right now. But this piece, you always want to get out of check with the piece that gets closest to the king safely. So as long as I'm not getting in a position where I can be attacked in this one, whereas this one wouldn't be attacked, let's say, then you wouldn't want to use that. But if you can get here safely and you're not leaving an open file when your piece moves, then that's what you want to do, because you're gonna it's tighter. It's closer to the king. He has less options. The king has less options. The white side does. So if this guy was here, he has one more option, and he can get in check again. So this one, he has less options. So that's the proper way to get out of check. You never want to get out of check really far away, especially that's not doing you much good. Also, the next rule is that it's generally a bad idea to move a piece twice in a row or too often. That's called underdeveloping your pieces. So let's say that this is at the beginning of the game, especially. You see a lot of beginners do it. What they'll do is they'll white makes a move, and then they move the piece, and then white moves again, and they keep moving the piece around, and so white's developing all their pieces, and black's just moving the same piece around, trying to capture something, in a clever way or something, but never works out that way. You're losing time, and you're underdeveloping your pieces. Development comes from chess, and that just means that all of the or most of the pieces are moved off their starting positions. The major pieces in chess, not necessarily the pawns, but in this case, you want to have, if you've made 3 moves, you probably want to have 3 of your pawns developed. Okay, the next thing is you want to try and find ways to get block pieces back into the fight. There's really not an example I'm really going to show, but I mean, if at the beginning of the game you got white created a barrier here, blocking these pieces. They kind of have to work together, and you have a base camp that's not really doing anything. You may need to. That would be a good time to come up with a clever capture, a clever move in order to bring more pieces into the fight to open up your options. So you always want to, basically the point of that. Perhaps I'll show an example in a game that I find, but basically that's just something to keep in mind as you play. The last thing is, this is something that a friend of mine who's an absolute master of this game, I play pretty much daily, his name's Fuifo. one of the things that he told me that is absolutely mandatory for playing black is a rule that seems maybe a little awkward at first, but it's actually a very good rule of thumb. It's where you don't get behind two or more captured pieces than white. So, and again, I'm calling these white, not blues, because of online play. That's what you see. So we're just looking over here at the captured pieces. So let's say I'm 2 over here. He's captured 2, and then there's a situation on the board, and he captures my 3rd one. Well, that's really not good. Black's pretty much going to lose the game. You don't want to be more than 2 behind. See here, we're tied, and then that would make him 2. So that's going to help you with decisions. If you're playing the game and you have a choice of either to defend one of your pieces or to make a different move somewhere else. Look at where you are here. You know, if you're here, you know it'd be okay to go ahead and lose the guy and make a good move. But here, you need to defend the guy because you don't want to be 3 behind. Okay, so that's all the topics for this part. I'm going to just keep discussing actually black, but it's going to be discussing the shapes of the base camps.